right, are you ready to rock and roll, guys? You ready to go? Let's go. If anybody else comes in, hopefully we can get them going. So we're going to do the last two parts of the sales cycle, managing objections and closing. And this tends to be the part that most people are very, very terrified of. And I love it. This is the part, to me, that's a brain exercise. So we've already gone through the entire sales cycle. We've presented an offer. We have asked them to work with them because that's what our offer is ultimately in this. Now, the sales cycle will also repeat whenever we are dealing with contracts, whenever we are dealing with repairs, whenever everything is just kind of the same sales cycle over and over again. Anytime you have to ask them to commit to something, that's what sales is asking for a commitment, right? So if there's anything, you just got to realize where you're at. And we're talking about the general sales cycle. So when I'm talking, what I'm going to be mostly referring to today is getting somebody to commit to work with you, either on the buying or the selling side. If you have any specific questions about it, please ask, but that's where I'm going to be going today. So the first part of today's is managing objections. Now, what is an objection? At any given time, guys, an objection, of course, now this thing won't. There we go. Any given time, managing objections, an objection is simply a question or a reason or something that they don't understand. I think it's so funny. It always reminds me, a lot of people don't want to ask for or present the offer and ask a closing question because they're acting like kids at a middle school dance. Like, what if I ask her to dance and she says no? Fine. You need to find out why she's saying no. Okay. Now it's a little scary in middle school because it might just because you're ugly, but it's still an important thing. You need to find out why. Most people are scared to ask a closing question or scared to present an offer because they're scared to deal with an objection. Objections are a good thing, I promise. That means that they're paying attention. It means that they have listened to what you're saying, and it's showing that they're paying attention. Now, that objection means you have not covered something. So ultimately, an objection is your fault. You did not answer a need that they have, and they want to ask you that question. If you've done a good job of building rapport with your people, then they're going to feel comfortable asking you the question. That's why most people don't like salespeople. It's because they don't build rapport. They don't feel like they're in a safe place to be able to say, hey, I don't understand this, or what about this, or whatever it might be. A lot of objections, there's a ton of objections. A lot of them just fall into very certain categories, but we're going to talk about that a little bit more. But don't be scared to ask a closing question because you're scared of an objection. What if they say no? That's okay. I promise. That's the best thing you can possibly hear. When they have an objection of any kind, it is okay to ask them questions. You need to understand that objection. Simon Sinek has a book called Start With Why. And he talks, and I could do this whole presentation on this because I love that book. You need to read it, Simon Sinek. And he says that there's, in any kind of transaction, there's three concentric circles. The middle one is why, the outside one is how, and then what. So if somebody says an objection, that's the what. What if, fill in the blank, right? It starts with the what. You need to understand why they're asking that question. You missed something when you were asking questions at the beginning, when you're establishing before, when you're doing all of the other previous stuff, you've missed something. So if they say, well, what about fill in the blank? That's an objection. And you need to know why are they asking it? Not how are you going to get past that? That's the wrong way to do it. The question is why are they asking? So don't be afraid to ask a question back. I don't know about this. Okay, tell me why you're feeling that way. It's completely okay to ask for questions on this. Once you understand, empathize with them. Okay? Now, one of my favorite things is I like to empathize for me personally. Sometimes I will lend empathy to somebody else. Now, this is a little bit more advanced, but with practice, you get pretty good at it. When you're lending empathy, you are saying to these people, I understand. I understand where you're coming from. Well, I'm not sure because we have to do this. And I understand. If I'm lending it to somebody else, I'm going to say, you know, I've had another client tell me the exact same thing. So it's going to show a little bit of expertise in that, whatever the situation might be. And it's really hard for me to come up with a good example for managing objections. If I'm doing a listing presentation, I tend to have a lot of procrastination objections. And we're going to go over some of these in just a minute. But for the order of operations, ask for clarification and show empathy. Check for understanding. It's a teaching thing. Do I really understand your question here? Am I really understanding where you're stuck? Don't assume you know anything. because you, so far to this point, you've assumed you understood what your client was asking for and you missed it somewhere. So if you've missed it somewhere, you really, really, really need to make sure you understand what you missed. And that is on you guys. So, and never tell them they're wrong. So many times during managing objections, and oh God, I'm so terrible about it. We used to be really, really bad about it. But you almost become dismissive. Well, what if my house doesn't sell? Oh, I've never had that problem before. Do not dismiss them. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. Okay? That's a legitimate concern. It's enough for them to say it. And I think, whenever you're in a situation as a buyer, whenever you're buying something, that it's almost hard to question the salesperson, especially if they're very charismatic and confident and over the top. It's hard to ask a question. And when you get dismissed like that, they may not show it right up front, but I'm telling you, in the back of their mind and their heart, they are just like, this mother, like, how are you dismissing me? They may not show it, they may not realize it, but the minute you dismiss them, you've lost them. So never tell them they're wrong. Now, if they are wrong, okay, they're dead wrong. 2 + 2 is 5. Don't tell them they're wrong. Let somebody else do it. Again, this is a little bit advanced, but it takes just a little bit of practice. You'll get it down. You know what? I had another client think the same thing. Tell a little story about that client, should you have one, or make one up. I don't even care. And then walk them through to the right answer. 2 + 2 is 5. You know what? I had another client say that exact same thing to me. And I was trying to figure out where they got that idea from. And they told me that their math teacher said this. Is that where you had heard that before? Okay, yeah, fantastic. It's okay. It's a common misconception. And then walk them across the front line. Now, I didn't tell them 2 + 2 is not 5. I told them, I understand, I empathize, I ask questions for clarity. Where did you hear that? And by the way, in real estate, I'm sure you've heard that 1,000 times. You've had some kind of BS. Oh, I heard that I can't close this if the title company has a red sign, or just the most outlandish things. People that have owned a house for 30 years think they're an expert in purchasing houses. I was like, how many houses have you purchased? Things have changed, rules have changed, right? And they have these old ideas, these old conceptions, like I have to close at a title company. I'm like, well, that's true most of the time. Where'd you hear that? You can actually close with a lawyer and we can just bring somebody to your house. We just need a notary, right? A lot of people think that they understand the full process. But like I said, guys, never tell them they're wrong. Let somebody else do it. That's a big one. Next one is perform CPR. This is the one objection that I run into the most in real estate, is a procrastination objection. They want more time. That is the most frustrating objection, and it's the trickiest one to get around, because you are trying to sell somebody a house. That's a big decision. That is the biggest purchase these people will make probably ever in their life. And they are not sure about it, and they will procrastinate on you. Sometimes they're procrastinating for good reason. You need to ask for clarification, empathize, okay? Don't tell them they're wrong for procrastinating, okay? Figure out why they're procrastinating. Are they procrastinating because they haven't got their credit where they need to get it? That's a good reason to procrastinate, because you're not going to get the home anyway, right? You need to get to the bottom of that. Are they saying it because they don't have the cash to close just yet? They're waiting for a bonus. Great question. Okay, that's a great reason to procrastinate. Are they procrastinating just because they're scared to pull the trigger? They love the house. They love everything. They love everything that they're doing. If they're procrastinating simply for the sake of procrastination, I like to perform something called CPR. Now, this is probably the most salesy thing that I do when I'm doing this. But CPR stands for cut open the wound, pour salt in it, and then relieve the problem. So if they're procrastinating, a lot of times they don't remember the reasons why they're trying to sell or the reasons why they're trying to buy. There's a pain point. People want to move sometimes because of, like, they have a significant reason to move. And I call that a pain point. Sometimes it's because it hurts. Like, I've got to get out of my current apartment complex. It's the worst place ever, right? Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes they're just like, man, our family's getting bigger. We got to get going. And it's an exciting thing, but it's still a pain thing. That's still going to be pain because they're going to know their house is too small. So when I get to that one, if I'm dealing with a procrastination objection, I'll CPR. Well, when did you say the baby was due again? I'm cutting that wound back open. I'm going to pour some salt in it. So is moving the baby stuff, I mean, do you all have it all packed up, or are you getting ready to set the room up? Right? And then I'm going to relieve it. Well, if we sign now, we should be able to close in 45 days. And you said the baby's going to be doing 90. So that'll actually give you 45 days to make sure you're moved, set up, and ready to bring that baby home. I'm cutting open that pain. I'm pouring a little bit of salt in it. I'm making it real. I'm painting a picture of what it will be like without it. And then I'm going to relieve the pain. I'm going to show them, hey, this is how we get around that. Okay. Another procrastination objection, guys, that I just recently dealt with for way too long was just the decision factor. Do I like this house better or this house better? Okay. The way I put this, again, it's funny because Joey knows this client, is they want to move to be closer to their daughter. Their house is already under contract. We have been hemming and hawing over which house we're going to buy. And every time she comes, she goes back to this one house. I really like this house. And then she goes, well, let's go look at the new build across the street. Okay, let's go look at the new build across the street. Come back. Guys, I had to perform CPR this week. It was funny. Like it was, no, Monday. It was Monday. So on Monday, I literally told her, I said, hey, can I ask you a quick question? I know your house is under contract. When's it due to close? Okay, it's due to close March 1st. Well, this build is due to be done on March 8th. So if we don't have somewhere to go after you close, where will you be moving? And I mean, it struck her like a lightning bolt. Oh shit, I don't know. Okay, so, right, she can't move in with her daughter for that new build that she kind of liked. I like this bathroom better, but I really like this kitchen. No house is gonna be perfect unless you build the house. And if you're gonna build the house, it's gonna take you 9 months. So if we do decide to go ahead and build one of those just like that, it's gonna take us 9 months. So that's gonna put us into October. Just out of curiosity, are you gonna stay down here or are you gonna stay up in Dallas? And guys, it struck her like a bolt of lightning. Then I resolved the problem. If we get an offer in on this one, it's almost done. The title work won't take that long and your lending's already pre-approved. We'll be able to move in on this thing as soon as they say boo. And that was it. We were done. Procrastination objections, guys, are the biggest thing I deal with. People are scared to make the decision. Please, please, please do not misunderstand me. This is not about cramming something down somebody's throat. This is about finding that one time when she's got it figured out in her head, but they're just afraid to pull the trigger. Okay? You do not cram anything down anybody's throat. Number one, that's just wrong. Number two, you don't like it when people do it to you, right? Number three, that is the first way to get sued real quick, right? That bedside manner, if you get too manipulative and they get this icky feeling, they will find something you did legally wrong and then all of a sudden you're in the hot seat, okay? But helping somebody come to that conclusion is huge, okay? So when we come over this, the last part of managing an objection is to ask your offer question again. Rephrase it, go through it a little bit differently, okay? So did you want me to put an offer in on this house so we can be ready to go by March 8th? That was my offer question. Her answer was, yes, let's go. Boom, we get started on the paperwork. Now, one of the things, and you'll have to forgive me, I wanted to put this in the slide, but I just didn't have enough time, is I wrote down a lot of ideas on closing questions and objection questions, and they're kind of scattered because as they were coming to me. One of the things during the objection phase, a question that I like to say, or a statement rather, is when I get the objection and I'm asking for clarification, if I feel like there's something they're not telling me, okay, if I just kind of get that sense, and again, guys, this is kind of a little bit more of the art, but you know what I'm talking about. If you've got kids and they're telling you some story about what happened at school and why they got in trouble, you know something's up, and they're leaving a part of that story off. So I will use the phrase a lot. Hey, I'm really holistic. I want to make sure that where this whole thing is together. Can you tell me the whole story on that? And that gives them permission to talk as much as they want. Again, in sales, guys, you need information. You're not trying to force them into something. You're trying to get the right decision for them. That's a great way to do that, okay? Sorry, I'm looking through these. I can't remember what these are. I talked about doing the CPR, bring up the fear, remind them of what could happen if we don't make a move, if we don't get to where we need to be, if we don't make a decision. I do use the thing a lot. Like if I feel like they're procrastinating or waffling back and forth, I will use the phrase win-win a lot. Hey guys, this is a win-win-win. I want to make sure we're in the right place. Can you tell me why you don't feel like this house is the right one? Okay. I will be honest with you. The reason why she didn't like that one house is because her old house had a split vanity. So there's 2 separate sinks in the bathroom. And this one had one long double vanity. And she just wasn't sure that her and her husband, who'd been married for 44 years, could handle that. So I let her know, yes, we could build a house, but I think if we're building a house simply to have a split vanity, that might be a bit much, right? Maybe we just get 2 tubes of toothpaste. You just put one over here, one over there, right? You gotta make sure that you find a win-win for them, help them find the decision on it. Reasons not to procrastinate stories. Guys, I'm hitting on that one right there, that orange dot, I said, let somebody else do it. I do use that one a lot. If they're procrastinating, I tell stories about people that did procrastinate, right? And if you've been in this business for any period of time, you know very well, especially in this market right now, they really wanted a new build. They wanted a house that was a new build. They wanted it in a very specific area of town. And I'm going to tell you right now, there was 1 spec home and about 3 that were near completion. Okay. And I told them, I was like, guys, I've had a lot of people looking at new homes lately. They do not last long. And what was so funny is that my point kept getting brought up. Like they would look at a house and they'd ask me to go see it. And I was like, that house is under contract now. Well, I just saw it on realtor.com. Realtor.com's 2 days behind. What? They're 2 days behind. I said, check it again in 2 days, right? And they started to understand. I've had a lot of clients looking in this area. It's going on. And then one of my favorite ones that happened in this exact one is I said, we walked into one of the builders and they had a little placard that said, you know, put your house in hold now because prices are rising. And we saw that and she kind of looked at me and I said, I wish I could tell you that was a sales tactic, but that's really happening right now. She was what? And I said, I had a client the other day. They waited a couple of days and the price rose. And, you know, they know they can get that price, so why not keep raising it? And they were like, are you kidding me? And so we went and looked at the house that they did pick. We looked at it 2 days later and they told us, hey, the price just went up $3,000 in this house. And they had done nothing, like it was still in the exact same state. And I was like, told you. I wasn't gloatful about it, but it was kind of funny. So tell stories about other people. If they're procrastinating, especially on new home builds, if you're looking for a house under $200,000 right now in San Antonio, you better fly, okay? And it might take them a little bit for you to realize that you're telling the truth, but that's a big one. Sometimes I'll ask them on an objection, what does a win look like for you? Get them talking again, okay? If they say, I just don't like this bathroom, what does a perfect bathroom look like for you? Get them talking. Okay, ask them what a win is. Ask them what makes them feel good. If you get these little objections, that's the best way to do it. What does that look like for you? Man, I just don't feel like there's enough counter space in here. What does a perfect kitchen look like for you? This lady was real big on counter space in the kitchen. What, can I ask why do you host a lot or what's going on? No, every year she makes turtle candies for Christmas. And I see Joey laughing because I'm sure you heard about it too, right? I probably told you. And that's her whole thing. That 1 week out of the year when she makes turtle candies, she wants to be able to set them all out on her counters. She doesn't host a lot. She doesn't do all of that. So can I ask a question? How big is your table? Okay. Like, can we just move them to the table? And it was a simple one. She goes, well, I guess we had a separate dining room in our old house. I guess we could do that. Ta-da. Manage objection. I fully understood what she needed. I didn't know if she ran a buffet out of the front of her house every week and needed the counter space. I don't know. But when I found that out, we found a solution to her problem, right? So ask them what a win looks like. Understand what's going on with that. What else did I say in here? The takeaway close, I'm going to talk about that in closing. And Yeah, I think that's all I've got on that. With the rest of them are all for closing. Oh, an offer question again. I think this is pretty funny. So when you ask your offer question again, one of my favorite ones is, I will say, so are you ready to go to the altar on this? And the reason why I came up with that is it's kind of a soft way of asking them, but it's a funny way of asking, but it definitely puts the gravity on the situation. Are you ready to head to the altar on this house? I used to joke, and I think I said it in one of the previous videos, my old sales job, I used to use the closing line, hey, look, we're doing a fundraiser. We're not picking a spouse or buying a house. Fast forward a few years, all of a sudden I'm helping people buy houses. And I'm like, okay. So now I realize I used to play against the gravity of it, but now I realize I needed to really, yeah, it's a big decision. Are you ready to head to the altar on this one? You feel good? Right? And that's also another great way to handle those little minor objections. Because I will say, you got to be careful. This is a careful one. This is kind of advanced here. But, you know, there's probably not your husband might not have everything absolutely perfect about him, but you still love him, don't you? Right? Showing them that, hey, look, to find the perfect house, you're going to have to build one. So, so that's how I manage objections. So going on to this, guys, the last part of the sales cycle, which is my favorite part because everybody loves it, is closing the deal. Just because you close the deal, especially in real estate, does not mean you are done. It means you have reached an agreement. Guys, a close can be a lot of different things. When I'm making cold calls or I'm talking to people about wanting to sell their house, I'm trying to close them on meeting with me. I'm way better face-to-face. So I'm not going to try and get you set up over the phone. Can we get together? Let's talk a little bit. Like I said, talking is so important to me. So closing can mean anything. And just because you're closed does not mean that you're done. But at certain parts of the real estate transaction, it is very important to seal the deal. Press hard for copies. That's an old joke from the carbon copy paper days. But that just kind of signifies, hey, look, we are closing the deal. Paperwork is important. Two reasons. One, legally, right? If you don't have your paperwork in line and something goes wrong, you know you're gonna get in trouble, right? Everybody knows that. Real estate's very litigious. Get your paperwork in order. But the reason why I like to have people sign it is it gives them a sense of completion and commitment. They understand, I have picked a house. I have picked a realtor to sell my house. To me, it's incredibly important whenever I'm going on a listing appointment that I take the listing agreement with me, and I'm pushing, that is my closing objective, is to have them sign that listing agreement. Because guess what? Once they've signed that, they will call the rest of the agents that they've talked to and cancel their appointments. I don't have to compete anymore. It gives them a sense of completion and commitment. I've decided, hopefully, if you've done your job correctly, they feel good about their commitment, and they know that they can't talk to anybody else, that they're ready to go. Right? When we get all these contracts signed, they should feel completed and feel good about the choice that they've made. And then the second part to this, guy, is paint a picture. Don't, hey, press hard for copies. Thank you. Have a great day and leave. No, that's when your work begins on just about everything in real estate. Just because they sign the piece of paper doesn't mean you're done. It does in some sales situation. I keep going back to cars. Yeah, press hard 4 copies. Here's your keys. Talk to you later, right? But you got to paint a picture and let them know what to expect. Communication is 100% of problems. If you are having a problem in any relationship in your life, there is a communication breakdown. I will stand by that. And if you want to bring up an instance, I guarantee you I can prove out it's a communication problem. And 99 times out of 100, it's on you. Okay? Surprises show that you failed to communicate effectively. If your client is surprised by anything that happens, you did not communicate. So what do I mean in this? Paint a picture. Hey, look, I know we signed a contract on their house. We got a lot left to go. Okay? They need to finish construction. We got to do this. We got to get an option period. We got 10 days to go get an inspector. We're going to review that. This is what's going to happen, blah, 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 blah. Just like I told y'all when I was talking about the cycle of a real estate sale in a previous video, in there I was joking that something will go wrong. And I tell them, right about this time, something will happen. And then they will call me laughing. My God, you said something was going to happen 4 days before closing. Sure enough, it did. I know. And they're not panicking. They don't feel a sense of surprise. They feel educated and empowered. And I tell them, when the problem happens, call me. What do you mean? The problem? Yeah. What problem? I don't know. We kind of joke about it, but they know what to expect. There's never any questions. They know that you're going to ask for the next thing. They know when you're going to come back and say, hey, I need to do this. All right, good. Are you ready to get started selling your house? Wonderful. Let's fill out this listing agreement together. Okay, we signed it. Here we go. What's going to happen is I need you to spend the next couple of days cleaning this up. I'd like for you to do this, 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 and that. And then on Friday, I'm going to be bringing out a photographer. We're going to be taking pictures. You don't need to be there unless you really want to be there. I will be the photographer, whatever, explain your protocol is, whatever it might be. Then what we're going to do, and you got to paint this picture. You have to let them know. If you're selling $1 million house, you have to say, hey guys, guess how many people just walk around with $1 million waiting to buy a house? Not very many. This house is probably not going to go very quickly. But I promise you, I'm going to be doing all I can, and I will be communicating with you. If it takes you 6 months to sell a house and you don't talk to them from the time you sign that paper till the time 6 months go by, you're going to lose that account. You need to explain to them, hey, I've been doing this. Hey, I've been over-communicate, even after the close. Over-communicate. Over. Any surprises are your fault. You have to take responsibility 110%. If you feel good about it, guys, if they feel good, I was just talking before I started the recording. I have 2 pins here. These are custom-made, handmade, hand-lathed pins. One's for me and one's for Joey, who's on the call today, because I had Joey show them some houses because I was out of bed. This right here, the fact that they gave, like the husband makes this is his little retirement tinker project. He gave me these pins. I don't know what he normally charges for these pins, but he gave them to me, and he gave one to Joey. And that tells me right there that Joey did the right thing when she was out there showing them. These customers felt good. She established rapport. They like her. They like her so much they haven't seen her in weeks. And they said, hey, can we give Joey a pin as well? I said, I'm sure she'd love one, right? And I got a pin. And then, by the way, I also got a box of turtles. So ha, 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 Joey. And they were delicious. They were delicious. So, and guys, it's like this with all of my clients. I get gifts from my clients. I get phone calls and cards and wonderful stuff because I do form a relationship, and they never feel like they've been sold in a negative way. They felt like somebody helped them through it. So as we go through the sales cycle, guys, the end result should be making a sale and making a friend. If you have not done this, you got to go back and reevaluate what you're doing wrong. That's why we're recording these, because that's what we do. By the way, guys, a couple of closing questions that I like to use in here. There's different closing techniques. For real estate, what I typically do is it's just a commitment close. Sometimes, and like I said, I've already been over that, guys. I was like, hey, you ready to go to the altar? Are we ready to get this done? Are you ready to submit an offer? Are you ready to get your new home? However you want to do it, whatever your personality is. That's a call to commitment close. Hey, look, you just got to ask, are you ready to commit in some fashion? Another one that I do use that I kind of used a little bit in this one is a takeaway close. Hey, this house isn't going to be here next week. That's a takeaway close. You show them and you say, hey, I'm going to take it away. And it's not necessarily you, but the market's going to take this one away. Okay. There's a takeaway close, the scarcity close. I kind of use that one in this whole process as well. There's not many of these left. Kind of similar to a takeaway close, but you got to create the scarcity. You got to show them. Okay. If you just talk, that's not good, right? You got to show them what's going on. What other closes did I have that I use in real estate? Oh, I do paint a picture with a positive outcome sometimes. If they're looking to sell the house and they're kind of like, well, we don't really know to put it on the market, but we're moving to Florida. And I said, well, would it help you to have the cash sooner or later? That's going to be a time-based close. Well, sooner. Did you know that you can sell your house and still lease it back? So you'll get all your cash and maybe you just pay rent for an extra month? Are you serious? We can do that? Yeah, you absolutely can. Again, it's finding out what they need, showing them what it is, painting a picture, getting the close that's going on there. If I could help you get this off your plate, if I could get you more money sooner, whatever it might be. And again, yeah, that's pretty much all the closes I really want to go through on this one. Yeah, and then talk about what they need. So that's the closing. Sorry, those are scribbled notes. I wanted to put them in the thing. I just didn't have time. So with that being said, Does anybody have any questions on closing, handling objections? Does anybody have an objection that they just like, they don't know how to get past it? Joey?
I have two. One is a lot of people that I talk with are relocating from out of state, in state, and they're trying to find, obviously the market's not, everything's going super fast. So a lot of them are trying to do the whole, do they build? Do they buy? Do they get land? So I'm trying to secure and manage that kind of, not objection so much, but that hemming and hawing about which direction they want to go into. Obviously, hold on. Buying a piece of land, you have it, you're not in any major rush to secure and build on it, but you're not getting all the benefits of owning a home and stuff like that. So I seem to have that on a couple that they're always like, well, and so I'm not really sure how to, other than just show them the differences between.
You are doing a fantastic job of making a point. I did in last week's training or the one before. I can't remember, but if you continuously run into an objection, the first person to that objection wins. So first and foremost, if you have an objection that keeps coming up that you've noticed with your clients, like you, so you got a lot of relocation. I know you're from out of state, right? Aren't you from California, right?
Well, I'm a Texan, but I lived in California for a little while and then I came back.
Okay. So, and that's probably where your clients are getting from. Sorry, I was just making sure I remember the story. But if you notice you keep doing that, then when you're doing the identify needs section, you got to ask them those questions. Hey, a lot of people that are moving, and you just ask the question. Again, it's not you saying it, it's somebody else. Hey, I'm working with about 5 clients right now. And I notice a lot of them aren't real sure about whether they want to build or buy or what is this. What are your thoughts on that? Where are you at? Okay, so identify that need sooner. Okay, find out what they need. If you keep having that objection, handle it up front. Okay, so when you get that objection, that's just telling me you didn't identify the need clearly enough. You don't know what your client is truly looking for right this minute. So,
well, and so I hear what you're saying, but I do identify that within the first conversation I have with them on the phone. And I guess the hiccup that I'm having is I hear what they're saying. They're like, oh, but we don't have to move for about 6 to 8 months. So maybe we should just buy a piece of property now and then build on it later. So I guess let me ask you a quick question.
Let me ask you a quick question. So you don't have to move for about 6 to 8 months. Can I ask when you need to move?
Okay.
Oh, probably that 8 to 9 month process. Okay, not a problem. So real quick here, with a lot of our builders, they're overwhelmed. The San Antonio market's crazy right now. And it takes a builder about 9 months to build.
Okay.
So if you need to move in 9 months, a decision's going to have to be made pretty soon. Are you okay with that? So I just handled that, right? So I've clarified their timeline, and if that's what they want to do. So, and like, I'm cool. Like, if you want to buy a lot and wait, that's cool. But if you wait 9 months, it's going to be 18 months before you can move into a house.
Okay.
And they need to just kind of understand the stuff, right? It's like, hey, I know this. If you know what I mean? And I always just work backwards. It's all about understanding what they need and then working backwards. Well, if you get an already built home right now, it's about 45 days. So if you've got to move in 9 months, that gives us about 6 months to look. I'm going to tell you right now, most houses in San Antonio are on the market for about 45 days. So if we want a pre-built house, which is fine, I really suggest that, looking right now is just going to upset you. It just really is. You're going to find the perfect house, but you're not ready to go, and it's going to sell. Now, if you're okay with that and you're okay with tying something up and having 2 mortgage payments, we can definitely do that. I said, if you're looking to build a new home, that takes right at 9 months. So we need to get with some builders like quickly. Have you identified an area? Do you have any, right? So I'm pinning them down to finding out what they need, what they want, and then we're going to make a decision backwards. Because if they don't want to look at a house for 5 months, I know some of y'all might be in a little bit more of a hurry, but I'm not. Cool. Call me in June, right? And I'll touch base with them between here and June, but I'm not going to sit here and talk to them about every single house or every time they fly in, go look at them. I might drive them around looking at areas. Let's go look at an area, right? Let's spend a Saturday. But I'm not going to set up 15 showings unless I know that they're prepared to have 2 mortgage payments. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
But yeah, I would just work backwards. Any other objections? Any other closing questions? Anybody? No, because that was a good one. But again, that hemming and hawing just means you got to help them make a decision, right? You just got to ask the right question. I'm not telling them make the decision for them. That's wrong. Don't say, you know what, building is the greatest thing. Because now it seems like you're steering them. And if it turns out for some reason you got a 6% commission on a new build, and it turns out they hate the new build and they found out, they're gonna be like, she steered me because she knew she was gonna make more money. Let them tell you what you want, or what they want, sorry. You let them tell you what your job is. So, yeah, and it's just another form of procrastination. You just got to take it away from them. And it's just by asking questions. I mean, you just take it away from them. Like if you've got kids, you know, what do you want to wear today? If you got a young kid, that's a wrong question. Right? What do you want to wear today? This shirt or this shirt? You know what I'm saying? Hey, when do you want to move? Here or there, right? You just kind of help them narrow it down so we can get it. So, all right, well, guys, that's it. That's all I got for the sales cycle. I do want to say that next week we have a new home builder that's going to be talking a little bit about the new home building process. That's going to be our training for next week. I'm kind of excited. New home building, financing, all that kind of stuff. We're going to kind of walk through it. It's from a big time home builder, minimum 350. But what I really like about that is that since it is kind of a custom home builder, you're going to learn the real side of custom home building because it's way different than the spec home building. But you'll get the basic gist of it is what I'm getting at. So we do have a special guest. I'm excited about that. That'll be next week. So hopefully y'all learned something. Hopefully it was fun. Hopefully we will be able to go out and sell. And if y'all ever have any questions, I love talking about sales because so many people are misinformed on it. And it's an important skill to learn. So please watch these videos over and over again. If you have any questions, call me, put them in the comments on YouTube, whatever it is. I'd love to help as much as I possibly can. And I don't think that I am the absolute guru of sales. So if you find something that you can't get past, please let me know because I love researching it. So have a wonderful day. What time is it? I don't even know. I think I did that one pretty quick. Yeah, 30 minutes. It's not too bad. Look, 45, whatever it is. All right. Have a wonderful day, guys. Y'all be good.
Thanks.